What is up, beautiful? So, I took a look at my 2025 calendar, and what I realized is that I need to start tracking even my appointments and meetings and webinars and all the things that I've been doing. While I have it on a calendar, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a database, because Google Calendar, what it does not do, it doesn't give you reporting where you can analyze the data. So you have to create something manual. And so what I decided was I am going to use Notion plus Google to keep track of all of that stuff. And what better way to do that, to automate it, is to use Zapier. So let's get into it. No, I'm going to ask Zapier Copilot to help me out with this project. I want to link my Google Calendar to Notion. And I want the calendared events to go into a database, so this way I can track conversion and time and add some notes. So now what Zapier is going to do, it's going to kind of think for a moment, and it's going to go through all of its brain and figure out what the best way is to do this. So now it says, I'll help you build this. uh, you want to sync Google Calendar events to a Notion database to track conversions, timing, and notes. That's a solid use case for a single Zap. First, let me verify the available triggers and actions. Checking Google Calendar and Notion availability in Zapier, check. Verifying database and event sync capabilities, check. So we have both of those options are available for us. So perfect. So now what Zapier is gonna do, it's gonna build a trigger that whenever a new event is created in Google Calendar and sends the event details like date, time, title, description to a Notion database. So this way I can track my conversions and add notes and do the things that I need to do. So first, what I need to do first is I need to authenticate the Google Calendar in Zapier, right? Then I have to authenticate Notion in Zapier. And then the last thing is create or identify a Notion database with the fields, right? So I need to make sure that I have fields within my Notion um, workspace. So this is what I'm going to do. So I have this tracker already in Notion. So this is all set. I have a Google Calendar events tracker. So what this is giving me, it has event detail, the time, the organizer, the guest, the location, description. It has color coded here, right? Link to a meeting. Um, and then I can add anything else in here. So the other thing I want to add is conversion, like a conversion note, right? Like I want to be sure that I can track the stuff that I'm doing. And even if it's free, I want to be able to understand, like, did I get any opportunities out of that free speaking engagement or workshop or whatever I did, right? So this is going to be a conversion tab, and then, or column. Okay, so now we'll go back into Zapier, and now we're going to build this, okay? So it says, once you're ready, I'll guide you through building the Zap in the Zap editor. The trigger will be new event, Google Calendar, and action will be create database in Notion. So it says, do you already have a Notion database? Yes. Okay. So yes, I already have a Notion database. The tracker is called Google Calendar Tracker in Notion. Let's make sure that's the correct name. Google Calendar Events Tracker. Okay, so let's just make sure. Google Calendar Events. Okay. So now Zapier is thinking about my response. It says, perfect, you're all set. Let's build your Zap now. So let's continue to Zap Editor. So here's the trigger, right? So what I have to do here is I have to now select Google Calendar. right? So that's the first event, okay? So what the Copilot for Zapier is doing on this side, it's kind of going through step by step, right? So now what I need to see is here it says, okay, so I want a new event. So I want a new calendar. So triggers when a calendar is created. Or I actually want triggers when an event is created. So that's what I want, a new event. And then it's going to connect to my calendar. So now I have to sign into my calendar, right? So here we go. We're signing in because I need to allow access to Zapier. So now we're all set. So Google Calendar is the app, the trigger is new event, and then the account is my business email account, right? So now we're going to continue. So here's my value, right? So what it's telling me is it says that it failed. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I need to sign into Notion through Zapier. And my camera's in the way, so that's why I'm a little wonky here. Okay, so view pages you select. Okay. So I wanted to read the Google Calendar. So I'm going to give it access to the Google Calendar tracker. Okay. So although I connected to Google Calendar, I'm just going to connect again just to make sure that this works. Okay, so now they're both connected here, and now it says, great, both services are authenticated. Now let me start doing the magic, right? So it's going to start putting this all together for us. Okay, so we set it up. Okay, so the setup is done, right? Now we're going to configure it. Okay, so it is doing everything. So now it's saying, let me get the field options for the Notion steps so I can map the calendar events to your database. Perfect. I see your Notion database fields. Let me map the calendar. So that is what it's doing right now. It is literally going through that whole thing. So now we want to test it. Let's just test it out and see what happens. So let's just test it. Your Google Calendar. Okay. This is awesome, guys. Like, come on. So your Google Calendar Notion Zap is the new event created. The calendar, the action is automatically creates an item in your Google Calendar events tracker database. Fields being synced as event type. Title, location, link to meeting, direct link to the event, description, event type, time info, and content. Okay. It didn't have the conversion column that I asked for, but let's just see what happens. I think okay, so the conversion part has to be manual because it doesn't really know. Okay, so that's fine. So what it says here is next, publish the Zap to activate it. Ready. So let's continue. So I want to choose a color. Let's choose blue because blue is my business color. And then organizer is me. And I think that's fine. I don't know if I need any of this other stuff, but we're just going to see. Okay, so now we're going to continue. And now we're going to publish it, right? So next step, publish. So let's publish. And then we're going to test this out and we're going to create a Google Calendar event to see if it actually works. So, are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? I'm excited because this literally took under like 5 minutes to do. And if it worked, this is why AI is so powerful. All right, let's get into it. So now It's all set. It's all done. I'm going to go into my Google Calendar and I'm going to create a test event. Ooh, wrong thing. That's my drive. I want my calendar. So we're going to create my calendar event. And then, okay, so we want it on week and we want to go to today. And I'm going to create an event here and I'm going to just say test Zapier. And we'll just put it to that. And then we're going to add some notes because I want to see if it adds some notes. So there's just some test notes. And let's see. Add location. So I'm going to make this a Zoom meeting. So now it's an official Zoom meeting, okay? So now my test Zapier, I actually just got a notification on my phone, okay? Because I created that event on my Zoom account. So now what do we do? So if this is all set and this is all ready, it should have worked, right? So what I need to do is I need to title this Zap. So let's just title it Google to Notion. Okay. So we are all set. And let's go back home. So here are all of my zaps. These are my unfinished zaps. These are the ones that I've created. So it is on. So let's go now into my calendar. Oh my goodness. Here it is. This is the event. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Okay, here it is. Test Zapier. That was weird. Test Zapier. I'm the organizer. It doesn't have a date and time, which I think is a little weird. Did I not do a date and time? Here's the location. So it's on a Zoom. And these are the notes. It says test notes. And it has all this stuff because that's the Zoom. So let's go back to the calendar and open this up. And I did put a time. So I'm not sure why I didn't pull the time in. The other thing it didn't do is there are no guests. So I don't have any guests. It's blue because that's the color that I chose, unless it's defaulted. We'll have to see. But my calendar is blue. The event type says event, and it says Google Calendar. Okay, so there's a link. And so now the link opens up the Google event. So this is not bad. The only thing that I want to happen is the date and the time. So let's go back to Zapier and let's go back into that, into this Zap. And let's chat with, okay, so I tested this out. I created a test calendar event. It did pull into Notion. However, the date and time did not. So let's see what it says. It says, good catch. The date and time fields in your Notion database weren't mapped since you set include time with date fields to true. Those date time fields should be available, but I didn't explicitly map them. Let me fix that. So this is a good thing. You have to test everything, right? So you build what you need, and then you have to test it, right? And then you go back and you tell the AI what worked and what didn't work. This is the same process that I used when I worked in corporate and I was dealing with the IT department and research and well, I was in IT, but I was dealing with the research and development department where they were building new functions for us, and we had to test them. So that's UAT, right? It's like user acceptance testing. And we needed to document it, and we needed to go back and tell them like, "Hey, you need to do this because it didn't do this. Like you said it was going to do it and it didn't do it." And so that time between me going back and forth with research and development, I in this situation would have had to wait. I would have had to wait until they got back to me, waited until they either maybe uh the ticket the what am I saying, guys? The support ticket. If I had to wait for the support ticket to be assigned and then reviewed and then resolved, and then here we have artificial intelligence, which is doing stuff for us in real time. Does it mean it's going to replace research and development? Absolutely not. It's just going to help them elevate and do their stuff faster. So now it says, first, I need to transition to draft mode since the Zap is currently published. So it's going to do that. Now let me get the date and time fields from your Notion. Perfect. I found them. Your Notion database date, time, start, end time. Now let me map the fields. Perfect. So let's test it. All right. It says it's done and it's fixed. Okay. So we're going to continue and we're going to publish. And we're going to publish. Once you replace your existing Zap will be replaced with the new changes. That's fine because that's what I want. Okay. And now the crazy thing is that I keep getting notifications on my phone from my Notion because I have Notion app on my phone, and I keep getting like notifications. So we're gonna create another test. So I'm gonna say this is the second test. So anytime you test any functionalities, make sure that you are titling the tests because you want to be sure that you keep track of what you're doing. So this is test number 2, right? And then I'm going to leave the time and I'm going to add I'm not going to make it a Zoom because I already know that it's a Zoom. So I'm just going to say like 123 West 5th Street. All right? And apparently that's an address. Okay. And then I am going to add a description. So this is a test description. So let's just add a test description. And I am going to save it. Test 2. Here we go. So it did take some time. It took about 3 minutes. Not bad because the calendar is where I'm going to really be looking at my events, not really in in Notion, but Notion is just going to help me track my conversions and the type of meeting it was, etc., so that I could use it for my metrics. So not bad.